It's time again for the $30,000 Candlepin Challenge, brought to you by American Car Care Centers in conjunction with C&8 and the International Candlepin Bowling Association. Hi again, everybody, and welcome inside the Woburn Bowlerdrome. John Holt with Dan Murphy, as this week Craig Holbrook looks to make it 3 weeks in a row as champ.
You know how hard that is. And new, fresh blood gets you every week, and to win 2 in a row is fantastic. To win 3 is even better, but Craig is up to the challenge, I'm sure.
He had a terrific number he put up in that 2-game championship match a couple weeks ago. He leads currently the top 2-game totals from the season. We are tracking the top 3 for our final taping of the year, our championship at Big Payoff. He was at 295, not quite as high last week, but more than good enough to be back and looking to make it 3 in a row. Does it start to weigh on you a little bit mentally?
No, I don't think it does, but
good to know.
These 2 bowlers coming up, kiddingly, my bowling knowledge runs far and wide, and I know these 2 guys are really good, so we're in store for something here.
Good. We're looking forward to it. Craig Holbrook looking to make it 3 in a row. It all starts next with the Challengers match right here on C&8. Welcome back to Woburn as we get ready for the Challengers match. Kevin Davis, Chris Boisvert, the 2 challengers today, and Chris will go first. Just a 1-game match. The winner to move on to take on Craig Holbrook in our 2-game championship match.
Chris, another one of those, we refer to him as the young guns, one of the very fine young Candlepin bowlers. It's coming up through the ranks, and as Craig alluded to, these guys can throw the games. Wow, if they get going.
Explosive first ball gets him 9. You were right, Dan, the way he's starting. These guys are good.
We'll talk a little more about Kevin Davis as he comes up to throw his first 2 frames.
Spare for Chris. First box.
Gets a break off the head pin, just leaving the head pin, but takes advantage of it.
Here's the fill.
Drops 7. 3, 6, and 10 left, trying to make it 2 marks in a row. Believe me, these 2 fellows will not leave anything in the bag. They'll both throw pretty hard, and they move right along. Oh, he went on the outside and got away with it.
And you know, Craig Holbrook, the champ, alluded to that in the open. He knows he's going to have his hands full no matter who wins.
Kevin Davis, of course, if you remember Kevin, our first season he was in the Tournament of Champions, as our championship show at the end of the year, and bowled a lot better than that ball. And he lost the 2nd season to Rico Baldinelli, who won it all. So he had a string of, I believe, 5 or 6 in a row wins. He was on a 6 in a row. I just been reminder for people looking in the archives. He can bring it. Hey, nice 10 box.
Recovered nicely to pick up all 10.
So this is the first time we've seen him in about 3 years. I don't know what happened to Kevin, but he just kind of disappeared for a while.
Drop 6.
Got a chance here with a 5, 6, 9, 10, but because of the wood in between, if he's on the 6 pin, he's got a chance of making this as a spare.
Got it. So he equals the spare of Chris Boisvert there in the 2nd.
See how the wood affects that shot. He's on the 6 pin, and the ball, of course, drives straight through for the 9. Wood takes out the 5.
On a box 3, Chris looking to make it 3 marks in a row to open. Gets 7 of the 10 to go.
Come on, give it a run here.
2, 8, and 10. Piece of wood next to the 2, also one in front of the 10.
Gets 1 of them. Leaves the 2 in the back row there, the 8 and 10. Took out the 2 only.
Make it 9 and 43 after 3 boxes for Chris Boisvert. Does a lot of his bowling and works at Alita Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Ray Simino and the crew.
Lane 36 now, box 4.
He's going to shoot at the diamond leave, 3, 5, 6, and 9, and not a good piece of wood out in front.
Pointing straight out.
So after opening with 2 spares, he's markless in the next 2, giving Kevin Davis a shot at climbing back into the match.
9 and an 8. Chris is total at 51. Kevin will fill it up here in the 3rd, following the spare in the 2nd, with an average of 128.
Just 2 on the spare. Half was to right for Kevin.
Missed opportunity. Seven total in that box.
And you see the Dave Barber fan club folks back there with the shades on and
the mysterious Dave Barber fan. Back now to Kevin. Dave still on pace, Dave Barber that is, to make it to the Tournament of Champions. So he's now in 2nd place with his 290 behind the champ at the moment, Greg Holbrook, 295.
And at 3rd spot, Rich Bober.
Just a pin less than Barber at 289. Back to Chris after both bowlers went open. 3 and 4. We're in the 5th now. Boisvert up some 12 pins for it complete.
Oh, great spare by Chris Boisvert. You see the replay. Boy, that like they were tied together. That one went so quickly. You know he's going to get the legitimate spare leads. When he starts making spares like that, he could go real big. Well, nice going, Dan.
The fill gets him just 1, a single pin. That gets the score to 71 for Chris. Two marks, make it 3 marks for Chris, 1 for Kevin so far.
Now he's got the triangle 6, 9, 10 in the right with 4, 7 with a piece of wood that you probably will play the wood, try to snap it across. No, he's going for the triangle.
Now that's an 8 box.
Trails by 15. Remember, this is a sprint to the finish, a 1-game challengers match. Winner takes on our champ, Craig Holbrook, in a 2-game match.
Three fall.
Ouch.
Kevin off his game, I'd say.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell. You're shooting for the head pin on the first ball. He chopped through. He hit the head pin. That time he was trying to split the 3 and the 6, and he hit the 3 pin. So the third ball was off target and ended up with a 5. That's a tough 5.
The lead now at 19. 71-52. Chris in the 7th.
5 and 10 left for Chris. Good ball going in. Looks like he should have got a better spare leave than that, but you can cut the 5 into the 7 into the 10 without a problem. He's got to hit it on the left-hand side.
Hit it flush. Couldn't get the 10. Picks up the 10 with that roll for a 10 box, and the score is up to 81.
Three, 6 with a piece of wood in between, and then the triangle 4, 7, 8 in the left-hand corner. He's going to go after the 3 and the 6.
Open in 7 and 8. Three marks over the first 5, but now 3 straight. Open. 6, 7, and 8. Score of 91 for Chris.
He's letting Kevin hang around.
Drops 8. 1-3 remaining. There's a mark for Kevin. Hold on. Not over yet. Big Phil coming up in the 8th.
Yes, huge. Can drop, could drop at another mark right back in, but he goes right through the middle.
Phil of 5.
He's going to be 2 marks down. He's going to have to hope that Chris does not put a mark up in the final 2 frames.
15 pin advantage now through 8, 91-76. Here we go, 9 and 10.
He's got the 1 and the 10. He's kind of wishing that wood next to the head pin was turned a little better angle toward the 10 pin, but let's see what happens. And there comes the ball. And here comes the pin. And it's not going to happen.
Big tease, but it doesn't go.
Probably should remove that the ball.
Earl to the rescue. And there you go. After all that, he doesn't pick it up. The score up to 100. Chris at the century mark, right dead on it right now with 1 box to go.
You realize how important the mark would be in the 10. He's going to have a shot at 1, or is he going to get the strike?
Going to go chase that 10 pin. wood forming an L out in front. Got it, so he'll get an extra ball.
Big spare in the 10th. As I said earlier, Kevin Davis was 2 marks behind before this final 2 frames, so he could be in a double strike situation where he's going to have to throw 2 consecutive strikes someplace in the last 2 frames to win.
Eight more, so it's 118.
.42 pins, 43 to win. There's one of them, and this guy can throw strikes.
Second one would make it very interesting.
Good enough.
Back live, he took out 7.
So he needed a double.
Spare on strike, but it's not going to be good enough.
He'll be 2 pins shy if he throws a strike. So it's going to be Chris Boisvert moving on to take on our 2-time champ, Craig Holbrook.
Ends closer than you may have anticipated, but not quite close enough for Kevin Davis. 118-112. Chris Boisvert on to take on Craig Holbrook. We start game 1 of the championship match next right here on CNN. For the start of the championship match, Chris Boisvert, the challenger, take on Craig Holbrook. And as is customary, Craig will go first as the champ. First game of 2. Total up the scores. Crown a champ. Now, Craig has posted the best 2-game total all season to date, leading the way with a 295. Let's see what he can do today. Starts with a 9. There's a look at Craig's dad.
Here's the #1 fan for Craig today. His dad's sitting right there.
It's been his lucky charm the last couple of weeks. Gets them all. Talk about some luck. Slow developing, but they all go. A strike in the second. Dad likes it. Take a look at the replay of the strike.
Off
Took
the
a little
wall.
while.
Yeah, it comes back for the 5 and then finally the 2. Oh, not to be outdone. Chris starts with his strike of his own.
Chris Boisvert with the match. Over to lane 36.
I wouldn't be surprised if triple strike is hit today. These 2 balls. Well, there's 2.
2/3 of the way there, Dan. Of course, we'll have to wait a little, build up the drama as Chris takes a seat and Craig steps back up.
Take a look at this one. The 5 pin and then the 9. 2 strikes. Craig working around a strike of his own. Missing the head pin leaves the 1, 9, and 10.
Satisfied with things, he's ready.
Oh, off the wall for the 9, but missed the 10 pin going by. Gives him 9 fill on the strike, though.
And a 10 box to 38 through 3. Six down, 4 up. 1-3. couple in the back row as well. Got the wood, but none of the 4 pins.
Oh. Unorthodox 10 bucks. There we go, folks.
Triple strike opportunity. No one has done it yet this season. Off to the left, but with a
almost
chance.
came back.
8 of 10 instead.
He's in the 1-3, trying to go 3 consecutive marks. Spare on strike.
And he delivers. 3 boxes, 3 marks for Chris.
Just don't stop, kid. Just don't stop.
Spread eagle as he goes up the gut. And his first open box coming in the 4th. Gets 9, 71, and wow, the lead is at 23 pins, 4 boxes in. The challenger over the champ at this point.
I think Craig has missed the head pin with the first ball more in this short 4 boxes than he did all the last two weeks. He's just pounding that head pin.
That is an 8 box. There's just 1 mark for Craig. That was the strike back in the 2nd. Here he is in the 6th.
Leaves himself to 2-4 for a spare.
Can he make it? No, to get just the 4, leaves the 2. $65 through 6. The champ's struggling. Now back to Chris. 3 marks over the first 4. He's in the 5th.
Light hit. Like to see the 10 pin go, but a makeable spare because of the wood in between the 2, 4, 7, 8, and of course the 10 pin. Catches the 2 with the wood, should have a good chance of making this for a spare. Just the object pin.
Open here in the 5th. $10 though, moves to 81. Gains 2 in count, now ahead by 25 pins. We know Craig fell behind last week to Tim Susi after he gave 1. This is going to be, appears that it'll be a much wider margin.
2, 4, 6. No wood to help Chris. He's going to do this by himself.
If he can somehow pull this off, he'll gain another 1 in count. Instead, he keeps that lead right at 25, 90 to 65. Bit of a surprise, perhaps. Chris Boisvert, the challenger, up big early on the champ. Back with more right after this on CNA. 6 boxes into game 1 of the championship match, and the challenger is up by some 25, 90-65. Chris Boisvert the lead.
Come on, Greg, we're back here now. All starts here.
See what's going through the head of Craig Holbrook as he looks for some answers. Won't get it with that roll.
Nope. Missing far left.
Back that way again. Not quite as far, but he'll be open for the 5th consecutive box. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looking to make it 3 weeks in a row as champ. Not easy, as you mentioned, Dan, at the start of the program, and we're seeing proof of that. That's better. Takes out 8. Chance for a spare in the 8th if he can pick these 2 up.
Well, from my angle, he doesn't like the piece of wood. I don't know if he can get by it from his vantage point or not. Yes, he can.
Little life from the champ. Spare in the 8th. That is a long way from over. Just game 1 of 2, but it is Boisvert with this big lead early.
Three, 7, 10. Now Chris has been open 4 consecutive boxes after starting with that double strike and a spare, which built that lead that he has. Nice 10 box. 26 is his advantage now. Opposite a spare though by our champ, Craig Holbrook.
This is the 8th box.
He wants that 6 spin to go. It does. Leaves himself to 2, 4, 7. Matching the spare.
Very solid effort from the challenger. Now we're back to the champ. Good fill of 8 for Craig.
Trying to make it 2 in a row on the 3 and the 5. He does.
Trying to build some momentum as we start to inch towards game 2. Fill of 7. In hopes of ending game 1 with 3 consecutive spares.
Be a difficult one. Oh, wow! I missed it.
What a wild mark.
Ah, hope we got a replay of this one because I had turned my head to the scoreboard. And let's see what happens here. The wood, the ball comes down, clips the 4 and then the 5. All said and done, 3 marks in a row to finish the game.
What can he add to the score in game 1? How about 9 more?
Well, there's 9 more than he expected, I'm sure.
So 128, nice salvage job down the stretch.
Yeah, he was only 56 at the turn, ended up with a 128. 72 the back half. Chris working on a spare. Oh, and not to be outdone, strike on spare.
The young guy bowling well.
just lightly touches the head pin, but keeps all the pins in play, and they do a lot of damage before the strike is done.
So here he is now in the 10th.
Again, a light hit. Leaves the triangle 6, 9, and 10. And he's going to try to finish with 3 marks in a row. Got a choice, 2 pieces of wood out in front, 1 to the left. I don't like the ones out front now with that wood rolling all the way out. That's still probably the choice. Oh.
Last ball now. 21 pin advantage after game 1, 149-128. Chris Boisvert on a pace to break into that top 3, though. We'll see what happens in game 2 as the championship match continues right after this. Welcome back. Game 2 of the championship match, and right now, the challenger, Chris Boisvert, is in position to go for the win, up some 21 pins.
He's up 21. He knows he can't let his guard down, though. He wants to put at least 1 mark up each time he gets up there. Keep the pressure on Craig Holbrook. Right through the middle. 1, 5, and 9. Spread eagle plus that 8 pin. He'll try to split the 3-6, I imagine.
Open game 1 up with the back-to-back strikes. Get an $8 now, though.
And again, on the head pin, but flush. This time he gets the complete spread eagle.
Picked off the 6 and the 10.
Well, it's just what the champ wanted. 2 open frames to work on.
He'll get his chance.
Couple marks, we could be just about even.
Really?
Dropping 6, leaves the 4 horsemen left.
Leaves the 7 pin.
$10. His dad, there with him every step of the way.
Game 2 and count, so the lead now is 19 for Chris Boisvert.
Two, 4, and 6.
Oh, no marks. Not what he wanted. Gain another one in count, though, and cut the lead by 2 more.
So it's down to 17 as Chris steps back in. Seven-pin drop.
Chris on the head pin, he's not going to panic. He knows that sooner or later he's going to move one way or another a couple inches and get a spare leave like the triangle 2, 4, 5. Off the wall, completes the 3-pin triangle for a spare. Does the pin come off the wall for the 4?
And his fill in the fourth. 7.
Well, the only thing I see here is try to go at the 6-pin like the 10-pin was up. Got to be on that side of the 6-pin, and hopefully it'll move everything to the left. Well, puts 1 mark up in the 2 boxes.
Back to the champion, hoping for a 3rd week in a row as champ on the $30,000 Candlepin Challenge. But behind and trailing right now.
$3-6.
Trying to match the mark from Boisvert in the 3rd.
Oh boy,
The 6.
I hate when that happens. Your object pin is the 3-pin. You miss that, your chance of making the spare is slim and none. But to punch the 3-pin straight back and miss the 6 is frustrating. Lead back up to 24 now for our champ. So Tampa is behind by 24. He'll shoot at the opposite side, the 2-4 this time.
Got it. So there you go. Greg Holbrook's first mark of game 2. Chris Boisvert with 1 himself. Now Chris in the 5th.
Oh, drop 7. Always difficult with the sleeper in the back, the 8-pin. Oh, nice spare. Terrific spare.
Woke that sleeper up from its nap.
Certainly did. Actually kept the 2-pin in play all the way back into the 8-pin.
Now the fill in the 6th box. That is a fill of a 6. The 4 horsemen left. Got it. Back-to-back spares. 3 total in this game. Chris Boisvert, the challenger, flexing his muscles just a little bit.
You see the replay, the domino effect on the 4 horsemen on the left. Craig Holbrook now working on a spare. It's imperative that he gets a decent fill and another mark. It's not quite what he wanted.
Fill of 6. No mark to be had.
Tried to slap it off the left-hand sidewall and come across. It did, but never touched the 4 or the 7.
$10 box.
Lead remains at 24. However, Chris Boisvert has already posted a spare in the 6th.
Greg trying to better that with a strike. Instead, it's a 9-pin drop. Looking at the 4 with wood in front. Yes. Greg Holbrook 4 frames to retain his championship and some work to do in those 4 frames. We're back with more right after this on CN8. We've got the champion on the ropes here at the Woburn Bowlodrome. Greg Holbrook, 2-time champ, down to Chris Boisvert, the challenger, by some 24 pins, plus each bowler with a fill coming up in the 7th.
As Chris just telling himself, don't make a mistake on the fill. 7 or better, and I'll take my chances. Light hit, and he's going to get 6. Three, 5, 7, 10. No wood, at least on the pin deck. A couple in the channels.
Picked off the 3 only. 5, 7, 10. So that's 8, and maybe a little daylight for Craig on the other end. Let's see what Chris can do in the 8th.
Oh.
Leaves the spread eagle. 2, 4, 7, 3, 6, 10. Open again. So there is hope for Holbrook.
Just a pair of 8s. Chance for the knockout punch, but wasn't able to come up with a mark.
The champ now in the 7th. Eight of them.
Oh, wants that one to go.
That's wide, though, man. Go get it.
It's got a nice angle. He pinches that 2-pin, could fly into the 10. Oh, yes.
He's fair for Craig Holbrook.
Lead is now 20 minus this first ball. You see the replay. Watch the 2-pin jump into the 10. Very nicely done.
Huge fella.
Well, he missed the head pin, but got 7.
What can he do now with the 1, 2, 7? Wood against the 2, left-hand side of the 2.
I don't like the wood there, but I didn't like the wood there. Ah. Tough break there for Craig, our champ. Good break for Chris Boisvert. Lead now just 11.
101 to 91 in this game. Craig with the lead, but he fell behind by some 21 after game 1. Had some ground to make up. Chris can make it real tough with the mark.
Yeah, Craig is kind of animated in the back there. He said, just I could have got that one. Oh, let's see. Oh, do you do a triangle or do you try to snap the double piece of wood?
4, 7 to the left. That's 6, 9, 10 triangle to the right.
I always like to get the wood moving. That's what Chris is going to try to do. Right in between them. Oh, my. That close for converting a terrific spare.
At a last pin, slid over, but didn't go. $10. Again, a mark here in his final box would tighten the vise.
If nothing else, at least a 9 or a 10. That would still force Craig to have a double mark to win the match.
One, 3, 7.
That's probably the best lead that Chris has had by missing the head pin. He's been all over the head pin the last several boxes and haven't had much to shoot at. The 1, 3, and 10. 1, 3, and 7. Oh, no. Going to be open. This is a huge pin right here.
Open the final box. 4.
He's leading by 11. Doesn't want to leave both of these pins standing. Whoa.
Come on, Greg, it's open. Come on.
It's 258 for a total.
Craig in the ninth.
Oh, boy.
What a huge strike. Here we go.
Needs a 129. There you see the strike. 129, 127 to win. Tie. 129 to win. Yeah. Make sure of that. 130 to win. 130 to tie. 131. Oh my God! Oh, and a backdoor strike. Make it a double.
Chance for the triple, of course.
Of course, that will put him in the winner's circle, but more important, he got a chance to, it's the replay. Wood coming back to knock the 3-pin down and then the head pin. And when that happens, when you get a lucky one, sometimes you bury the next one and get the third one. This is for $1,000, folks, or part of that.
There it is!
Oh,
What a finish!
Oh.
Holy moly!
I've said time and time again, when you get a lucky one in between, you come right back and bury that ball and get a legitimate one, and that's exactly what Greg did.
And a standing ovation. That's something else.
Come on, one to the top here, one to the top.
Chris Boisvert has to be stunned. 287. Incredible finish by Craig Holbrook.
Wow.
Still the champ here in the $30,000 Candlepin Challenge. And look at the replay.
You see the final ball on the third strike, just ticking that 7-pin out of there for part of that $1,000, and it's all his if nobody else hits it.
29-pin victory. That came out of nowhere.
It did. Unbelievable. What a finish.
We'll wrap it up next from Woburn on CNA. We are back following an absolutely stunning finish. Craig, you just treated us and the viewers to one of the great moments in this show's history. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. God, I feel like I hit the lottery. You know, I get a really lucky strike in the second, of the triple, and then I got the third. The third one was a really good ball. So, God, that was incredible.
You really lied to us, though, because at the beginning of the show you said, I'm going to put it over 300, and you were a little short.
Just a little, yeah. Oh, I had a little stretch there where I was really throwing the ball terrible. Coming out of my hand, I wasn't releasing it right. And sometimes you just put it back together all of a sudden, and that's what happened. I'm so lucky.
Lost in all of this. Chris just gave you a terrific game. It's shocking when you look at the final numbers because he was in control.
He really was, yeah. He really bowled well. Like I said, I feel like I hit the lottery. I'm so fortunate to get by this one.
You've got to take a look at the replay. Not only did you jump off the ground, but the crowd came with you for a standing ovation.
Yeah,
it was terrific.
The crowd was loving it. That was great.
Well, we'll see if you can top that next week. Of course, we'll have you back. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
3 in a row for Craig Holbrook. We thank you for watching the $30,000 Candlepin Challenge right here on CNA.